Hello, this is producer Michael, stepping in front of the microphone for a brief moment before we get to the main course, which is the boys, funnily enough, talking about themselves, the greedy buggers. But I'm here to remind everyone that we have a screening coming up. So we do these film screenings every now and then in UCD Cinema. And this month, on the 24th of May at 3 p.m. at UCD Cinema, we're going to be viewing. You get it? We're going to be watching A View to a Kill. And it's our charity screening. So all money we get from the screening is going to the Irish Cancer Society. It's a charity that's very near and dear to our heart. And we really, really hope you can make it. View to a Kill, you may not like the movie, but I'll tell you, you will have an absolute blast watching it along with some other Bond fans. If you've never been to one of the screenings before, they're an absolute hoot. And it's just like, it's a great time to go along and meet some like-minded Bond fans. So definitely, please come along. We'd love to see you there. And yeah, I'm gonna leave the boys to it. So I hope you enjoy the show. And that's me over and out.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's or bi-weekly episode of James Bond Club Ireland. This episode is going to focus on us because that's our favorite subject. No, it's not our favorite subject, actually. I think we kind of put off doing this episode precisely because it's our least favorite subject. I think I'm like, nah, introspection is not really our thing, but it was pointed out to us that we had fired out good couple of episodes, and some of them were really quite interesting. They were all interesting, but people were like, yeah, who are you guys? Who the hell are you? Where did you come from? Let's talk about that. Let's introduce ourselves, and I guess we'll ask each other questions, find out about why we're Bond fans, how we got into it, why we spend our Tuesday evenings discussing all of the admin around organizing screenings and social media posts and all the other shenanigans that we get up to. Some people know me already, but I've been loudly banging around the community for a while now. But let's talk about you guys. I'm gonna go clockwise and ask you. Clockwise as I'm recording it. I don't know what way this is going to end up when we send it out, but I'm going to ask, just in case anyone's going to go, is that guy got an issue with orientation there? But I'm going to ask Kev first. Kev, tell us, what's your name and where'd you come from? And that reference will be only available for our UK and Ireland viewers. But tell us about yourself and how you got into Bond fandom, Kev.
Well, hi, Paul. My name is Kev, and I'm from Cork. Everybody cheer. Hooray!
Hey. Now, if you were on a first date with a Bond fan, Kev, what would you do to impress them? No, sorry, just go back to the original.
Look, it's very clear. You just take a copy of Thunderball, and
there you go.
The rest go. Just go with
and if they don't like that, Kev, then it wasn't meant to be.
It's not to be. It is.
That's right.
It is a doomed relationship, and it's your sign. It's not going to happen.
People again outside the UK and Ireland are like, what are they talking about? Anyway, we'll explain blind date later on and Cilla Black. But for now, tell us about yourself.
So, I am a Bond fan for many years. Who I kind of came to it a bit of a circular route, because I have little moments of my past where I can remember something happening that was Bond related. The earliest one was probably with my dad on a holiday, and I must have been very small. Christmas, dark, West Cork, winter, and Dr. No was on the TV. I have a vague memory of the spider crawling up Connery's arm and having the maybe we'll turn off the TV, please. And it's strange that I can still remember that. I have no idea how old I was. It could have been summer for all I know, and I think it was winter. But it's always been there. I think it's been something that's been just ever present in the background. And I do recall some of the. I'm a little bit older enough to recall A View to a Kill, and kind of going, yeah, okay, that's Bond a while. I remember a lot of the hype about The Living Daylights, and that was where I think my antenna was starting to tune into this. There was a lot of promotion about the car on the ice and all
Yeah.
the cool gadgetry at the time. And I thought, I was about 10. I thought, that's cool. Oh, I want that car. That's cool. And then it got quiet for a bit. I got into my introspective, moody teenage years and didn't really kind of think about it until I went to college. And I picked up a copy of Goldfinger because I was going to be arty and very cool. I'm going to know about old movies, 30-year-old movies, guys. I'm going to know about this. And I watched Goldfinger and I loved it. And then it put me onto Thunderball and I loved it. And I felt like I was getting a book every couple of weeks. It was on like VHS. It might as well be in the size of a book. And that's what started it. It was around 95 when GoldenEye was kicking back off and we were heading into a new era of the Bond universe, the Bond fandom, and that was it. So I've been dragging my poor wife to these things over the years. I followed it online. I've been watching movies. Some folks online might know me better, though, as Mr. Bond in Color, which I've been doing for the last couple of years. This was a bit of a de-stressing hobby, so colorize a lot of the old Bond images, try to imagine how they might have been if you were there, or you were standing there, rather than the black and white images. So you'll find me online there, and that's kind of the route I've taken in terms of the very important questions that I know people will be probably thinking now. So favorite Bond film is Thunderball. I've said that. Favorite Bond is Sean Connery, partly because of my grandaunt, who was a Connery, and maintained for many years that we're related to Sean. And she had an encyclopedic knowledge of movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s.
Wow.
And my favorite, because I'm looking
did she speak like him? Did she go, Kevin, come in for your dinner right now?
She did.
Yeah,
no,
perfect.
she didn't.
Perfect. That would have been great, wouldn't it?
It would have been great, except that no, she didn't sound anything like it. She maintained he was her fifth cousin, four times removed, which makes me wonder, was she making it up a little bit?
Yeah.
But she was.
I love the way it's so
hairline.
precise. Yeah.
No, she definitely didn't have his hairline, nor his
or his
height.
mustache of later years.
She was a I tell you, she was a wonderful woman in terms of movies, and I think she planted that little seed into me as well, because she knew you could sit with the TV guide and you could say, right, name some actors and she'd tell you the year in the movie, and she was never wrong. She was fantastic for that. Loved it. So I think that kind of instilled about it. And I do remember her saying she preferred Connery than Moore at the time. So when we hear now all of the arguments about, well, who's better? Is it Brosnan? Is it Connery? Is it Roger? Is it Timothy? Is it Daniel Craig? She was doing that debate when there was just two really to pick from.
Yeah. There were three. Let's be
George
real.
for George.
There were,
No,
there were in the public side there were only two.
I hate to say, but the passing of time had not really gone far enough, I think, for George to be redeemed and then. So there was only two, as far as we were concerned.
There were only two. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And I just wanted to touch on the Bond and color thing for a minute, because like when I started seeing that as well, and I was like, these are so good, pictures that we might have been familiar with in black and white, but they really took on I know it's becoming a lot more popular now, doing colorizing of stuff, but you started doing it, and your attention to it was really good. Like, it didn't look fake or false. It looked like these pictures were really coming to life, and that was exciting. And you said you just got into that just to de-stress, but you really added something. I think it was really great.
It was. I was researching family history, funny, at the time, and I was looking at the colorization, and I thought, be great if you could just there was a picture of and I must find it on puzzle. It was Sean Connery and Gert Frobe and Harold Sakata on the golf course, and the three of them all standing next to each other. I think they're pointing or looking in a direction. And I thought, I'd love to see that as if it was in the movie or how it looked. And I don't want to take away from the black and white photos, because they're the originals. They are the best. But just to kind of give a little bit of a what if you could just see that, how you see a lot of things nowadays, and just give a sense of it. And that's just how it started. And I think it's good fun. And like I say, you might sit down for a bit. And I do like to research. I actually do try to find the right outfit or look or the color that was used. I try not to be making guesses, because you see a lot of them and they look washed and kind of a little bit off. And I've gone down to the level of detail to the number that the many colors that exist in Jane Seymour's eyes. I can tell you that now, because she has
sure, in the name of being artistically accurate. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Artistically accurate, to be exactly right there. But we've got to gone down to that. So it's great
Yeah.
fun, and I'm glad people enjoy it. And
Mm.
there's great reaction to it, I think, which surprised me. I thought I'll just do this and let it go
Yeah.
and see what happens. And
Well, I'm delighted that
see
you've
what
had
happens.
such a good reaction, because you got a few thousand followers, or at least over 1,000. And I mean, I like what you said as well about you don't want to necessarily take away from the black and white. You're not actually saying, oh, I'm doing something better here, because some of those photographs may have been taken deliberately in black and white to give that kind of contrasty look. Some of them may have just been black and white film was cheaper than color, in terms of they're just taking press photographs or whatever. Who knows? But the idea that you're saying, I'm not trying to say I'm improving these, I'm just bringing them, like, this is what it would be like, a little bit more like bringing them to life in a way, to refresh them in a way, I think. And it's really cool. I've always enjoyed looking at your stuff.
It's a different perspective. And I know, like, even the colorization thing kind of was coming popular years ago. And even when you look at what can be done now, you can animate these photos, you can make them look real. You can go down the whole AI route of what imagining it is. So, you know, everyone can have their own niche perhaps into it, but I just like to kind of just say, well, what was it look like if you were standing there? And that's, I think, is the nice thing. Who would not want to be there when a Bond film is being made, or who would not want to be behind the scenes, or to see a photo being done and just kind of take their imagination a little bit and run with it. So it's great.
Yeah. That's a great point around restraint as well, because you can go wild with that stuff now, if you know what you're doing. I personally don't, but I do have a friend who's a producer, and like, if he's adding an effect to something, he'll always go, turn it up to where you think you want it, and then dial it back a small bit. And he goes, that's usually the sweet spot. And I was like, that's good advice. You know, you never, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I think you get to that point where you realize I'm adding value here, but after that, it's just kind of gimmicky, But certainly I love seeing those photographs colorized the way they are.
That's cool. Thank you.
Right, let's move on to Mr. Sean O'Hare. Sean, you've been right there from the start with the James Bond Club Ireland as well, haven't you? You've been like a pillar from the start, and you've become known for your sweet Nuri tones. Oh, you're a wee bit late. Tell us about how you got involved anyway.
Yeah, I got involved really through being at a concert in the Waterfront in Belfast. And I would have followed a James Bond Ireland Instagram, who's also known as Tom Ryan. And I was standing there looking at, I was standing at the bar going, I know that fella. Who's that? Will I build the courage up to go and say hello to him or not? And ended up, I went over and said, are you already Tom Ryan? Yes. Started chatting. And he actually said to me, do you know there's a club and they do screenings in Dublin? I says, no, I don't. He gave me John's sort of Facebook sort of join in there, and the rest is just getting joined up. I actually went down to my very first screening, which was You Only Live Twice, and that was the week that they announced the 60th screenings for all the films. And I turned up, and it was only John and his family and myself there, because he was going to cancel it, and he wasn't sure to cancel it or not. Oh yeah, so that's how I got to know John then, and then sure got involved in the club through there.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And it's a testament to how committed you've been, that you were like, well, I'm sticking with this club, even though there's only like 4 people here at this screening. I'm going to go anyway.
No, it was great, because I'd always, we watch these films 24/7, but I always wanted to be able to see films in the big screen. Yeah. And like, I get into Bond from probably Tomorrow Days. My first film in the cinema was The World's Not Enough. So like, I had all the previous films to see. And then out here, I was spout then whenever the 60th anniversary screenings came out. But I love the idea of people getting together. It was in Dublin, and we could put on a Bond film, and really, even sometimes better was the chats and crack with people afterwards. So yeah, I loved that, and yeah, I got big into it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The 60th anniversary screenings were great, but it surprised me that you could put on the same film the same year and people would show up at the James Bond Club one anyway, because I think they just enjoyed the connection, the community, and the banter. You weren't always guaranteed that if you just went to your local cinema. Sometimes you might find a Bond fan, sometimes not. But I was really impressed with that. People like the community aspect of it as well, and they continue to do it.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's great, and that's why we keep pushing it now. And as I say, we now do the films every year. We were using the anniversary films as our screenings for the year, so great way to meet up with people that come along. Then we sort of head afterwards for a few beers and a bit of food, and you can stay for hours chatting to people and different people, and meet different people at different screenings. It's a great way to get to know people.
Some
And
people
for
have stayed for days, I heard.
Well, you never know.
It's such. I mean,
But no
not
one to
joke
stay for a
about
few
it,
extra pints. Yeah.
do you know the amount of? I will say you're right, John. I mean, the amount of discussion and passion and joy and camaraderie and kindness as well that I think you see from folks that come who just enjoy these movies and have it. I mean, it's very clear why we all want to.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's
celebrate
great.
these movies.
And we should point out as well, there's 4 of us on here now, but like the amount of people on group chats and stuff on Facebook that follow us and WhatsApp groups. And now we were wondering for a while, like, what will we do? What will we plan for the year? And like, people are coming up with ideas and bombarding us with ideas and suggestions and stuff. And we've got our own thoughts and stuff. Like, there's so much to do. And keep in mind, there's still only been it's been major, but it's only been a small bit of Bond-related news that has actually come out this year, in terms of films at least. So there's definitely rich pickings to be had in a fan community. But as you say, like, somebody used the word today. I heard that fan groups are often quite disputatious. Is that the right word? I haven't heard that word, but it rang a bit. I was like, yeah.
A distant bell.
The distant bell, yeah.
I've not heard it, but it does what it says on the tin.
It does what it says on the tin, doesn't it? It's right up there in the packaging. You get in here, you go get ready to get scuffed about. But this group is kind of, I don't know, there are, of course, some sort of gammons, gatekeepers, gremlins, and people who will moan a lot. But generally, I think it's a very kind of friendly kind of friction, if you like.
Yeah.
Which leads me nicely on to Andy Watson, my nemesis in the group.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, you are the diamond. You were the diamond-wearing pussycat to my not quite Bondian good guy figure in this outfit. We sort of spar off each other, but because I think you said to me the other day, we've agreed twice in 1 month, which is sent our agreement rate shooting off the charts.
It sent it up by 200%.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Tell us, how did you get into the whole Bond fan thing and into James Bond Club Ireland?
Well, I have been a Bond fan as long as I can remember. I'm old enough to remember when it was a special thing to have James Bond films coming out on Christmas Day, and you're watching it on Christmas Day, and then the excitement's building up for the next year. What's it going to be this year? What's it going to be this year? So I've been watching them all my life in that respect.
Yeah.
In relation to the club, I was fortunate enough through another group to be contacted by our gracious former leader, John Lennon, inviting me to come along, and I was one of the lucky ones that was at the very first showing of the club, where we were still introduced to each other in masks, because it was during the COVID times. The original showing of Majesties.
You were at that as well. Gosh.
I was at that. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So
now the keener ears out there in the audience might pick up on the fact that your accent is not, in fact, Irish.
Well, that's right. I live in Lisburn via Scotland and England, and as I've said before, I'm here as the token diversity hire for the pod, just to
tick.
Never said we're not diverse. Yeah. The Scotsman in the group. Yeah, so that's great. So you live in Lisburn now because you're married to an Irish woman. Is that right?
That's right. And we all know these wee Irish girls won't leave their mommy.
They'll always drag their men back home. Yeah, that's very good. So how long have you been in Lisburn for?
I have been in Lisburn.
Where is Lisburn? Give the people an idea of where Lisburn is.
Lisburn is just below Belfast. It's about 20 minutes out of Belfast, and a further 20 minutes would take me to Sean. So we're obviously the northern contingent of the group.
That's what I was going to say. We should probably explain as well to people who aren't too familiar. You're in the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, which is not part of the Republic of Ireland. But this is the James Bond Club Ireland is, I suppose, representative of the island of Ireland. And in that sense, our logo is slightly misrepresentative because the green, white, and gold is only for the 26 counties. But we are generally like, we've got people from Belfast, from Newry. Well, Newry is you're the border man there, Sean. You're kind of mediating between both sides here. But
Playing both sides for food.
it's been great. Like, it's allowed us the opportunity to just go to. We have been to Cork. We've been to Kilkenny. We've been to Belfast. And we're kind of due a trip, I think, somewhere soon as well. You know, I remember the trip to Belfast, the Jolly Boys outing, and we picked up Sean on the way. Sean arrived on with a 6-pack of Red Stripe beer for us all. So it was like a little bit of Jamaica on the ride up to Belfast on the train. So you knew you were in good hands, you know, and it was great. And of course, we had John with us at that point as well.
Yeah. And I made the mistake of going straight to Belfast and missing the train.
That'll teach you. Yeah, so great. So, I mean, what would you say is your favorite thing about, like, the James? And this is one of these. As I said earlier, how did you get your ideas for your sermons? But what's your favorite thing about the club? Why do you want to be involved in it? Why do you want to be part of the group that leads the club? Like, what is it that drives you? Is it just the community? Is it the fact that you get a night a week to just get out and do your own thing? Is the sense of fun, sense of play, whatever it is?
I think it's great being at the heart of the club. It's great being part of that, like, say, that beating heart. So helping to further realize what John's initial goal and aim was for the club. You know, as you've already touched on, there's little bits of rivalry with people. There's people that say things, but on the whole, it's a great group to be involved with for a social friendly side of things. There's not many other places that we could go and see big screen. Any of the Bond films, you know. Like, there's 4 of us here. The 4 of us would have never met had it not been for the group.
Yeah.
You know, predominantly our showings are all in Dublin. But as a result of that, Sean and myself share lifts down. So, and that's further developed on. We're regularly out with at least one other member from up north. And branched out into seeing other films as well and other nights out. So it's socially, it's been a great thing. Yeah.
And I'd love to continue that as well. I mean, obviously we're all busy and everything like that, but there are only so many a year you can do without impinging on people's holidays and stuff like that. But not only are there Irish ones now, but because we're becoming, you know, friends and connected with other James Bond clubs, you know, we've been able to attend some of the ones in the UK. We were at Operation Solex last year. We've got more stuff coming up in the UK. There are things happening in France. I won't be able to go to the Operation Pegasus, unfortunately, but that's another fantastic event. There have been stuff in Switzerland. There's stuff in Germany. I mean, there's stuff all over the place. And because you kind of have that presence as a group, people recognize you as one of the Bond community in Europe and in the world. And they're very, very welcoming. You know, people are very, very nice in these other clubs as well. And they want to know about you. The guys from, where did I put it? The guys from James Bond Club Switzerland were kind enough to do a piece on us in their latest club magazine. And I mean, it's a fantastic magazine, and they gave us a nice little write-up with the amusing "What's the crack, Mr. Bond" title there. So I mean, it's just very nice to make these connections.
It is great, and I think what you said there a minute ago, Paul, about it, you know, for the island of Ireland, I do think there's an element of beyond the island of Ireland as well, in terms of folks who might have an Irish connection.
Yes.
Or family, or live abroad, and like that little connection back with Bond and what's going on here and our events in this part of the world. I think it's a great sense of community that is global. And I often say to folks who might inquire, look, we go check out the podcast, go check out the Facebook, go look at Instagram. You know, you're as much as this as anyone else is. Don't put the location off by it, because I think there's such a wide community out there of
agreed,
and more to come, I hope.
And we're always trying to attract them over. I'm looking at you, Joe Darlington, you know. So yeah, it is fantastic. It's fantastic that people want to find out about us and want to come. And I think it's also nice for ourselves to be able to uncover some of the connections we've had with Bond in Ireland that we didn't really know much about until we started digging, finding out where Martin Grace came from, finding out about Joanna Harwood and her journey and all of these other things. And, people will come on and talk to us on the pods. If you haven't checked that Joanna Harwood podcast out, go and have a look at it. It's a brilliant one as well. So yeah, these are great things. And I think it's nice as well that you can just, I never thought I was going to do a podcast because frankly, I didn't think I had anything to say.
Tell me about Sam here. God, no, can't believe it.
Turn it on and just start having the crack, and before you know it, you're delving into the weeds about the quality of a certain scene in a certain film, and you're right into the weeds of it, and just people keep talking and talking and talking. And who's great for that is like Tom Pickup and those guys.
That's the same in regards with the pod, though. I think it's nice that we've kept that Irish connection to it. It's not just a generic podcast. We're trying to keep what the connection between Bond and Ireland, whether it be people who've written it, whether it be scenes, keeping that Irish connection rather than just generic conversation.
Yeah, now it might be a short runway if we have to continue it being Irish all the time, because we're going to run out of runway pretty quick. But
I don't know, because people from Ireland seem to be able to connect themselves to most things.
I think that was a casual racism there, shot across the bow there, like the blow-in Scotsman. But,
That's the end of the diversity candidate, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Fired.
That application has been rejected. But here, lads, we could talk all day about a certain Irishman who's played James Bond. So,
I knew you'd drop this in. Yeah.
Just happened. I don't know why. He might be my favorite. I don't know, but
absolutely no prizes for guessing who your favorite Bond is. But come on, tell us. Tell us about why it was such fun to go and do digging up the background in Navan and all that stuff. Tell us about that.
Brilliant. Well, see, as I said earlier, I get into Bond. I get into James Bond through the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye game. Probably said that before a number of times. But I get into Bond as in, there's a game. Oh, hold on, there's a film. Oh, no, there's more than one film. Jesus, there's a ton of films. I need to find out what all it's about. But for me, I get into Bond with Brosnan. So Brosnan is my number one Bond. I love them all, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about Brosnan that's just he's pure class. The man oozes it. He's just unbelievable, to the point where I was defending Dan the other day, a few weeks ago on the last podcast. He's brilliant, I have to say. Nobody's going to tell me.
You won't have to defend it anymore. People are coming up to me now, civilians, right, who just know they know I'm a Bond fan. They go, "Is Pierce Brosnan coming back? Would you like him to come back?" It's that rumor has taken wings of its own now. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, the people want it, so so has to happen. But
give the people what they want.
Well,
yeah, I was waiting for it.
He looks like he could. I mean, that's the great thing. No one is looking at Brosnan. Oh, sure. Look, he's far too old for. He looks like he could do it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, he's not trying to look younger, like the way maybe Roger was. I don't know what they were exactly trying to do with Roger in A View to a Kill, but he was neither one thing or the other, was he? He wasn't quite young enough to be Bond, nor gracefully. He was smooth, but he wasn't letting the grey grow out like the way Brosnan has done it. He's got that sort of windswept look, which is really, really cool.
And he was still the best.
I mean, that's a subjective matter that we are going to. Look at me. Look at the restraint. You can feel the restraint oozing off me.
Hang on. We've got Connery, me. We've got Brosnan with Sean. We've got Roger there with Andy, Paul.
Drum roll. I am Bond actor.
George. He's going George.
In the one, my top three would be
no, we didn't ask the top three. We just asked for number one.
Keep asking you.
They're really holding mine out to the ground. So I'm gonna say Daniel Craig then, and I'm gonna take all the the batterings. And
No, I'm
No.
glad you said that because I knew what was going to be the second choice.
Yeah, Sean would be my second choice, but there's
third choice then.
no, my third choice would be Tim. Yeah, I love Tim.
Oh, we
But
love
like
Tim.
the thing is, like I love all these guys. Like I started off with Roger Moore. I thought he was the coolest guy I'd ever seen, and that was after Octopussy, right? So there's just something about the Bond character and all of the actors who've played him, who've just they've brought their own thing to this character that has just magical sprinkles all over him, and if you can buy into them, you just go along with the ride, and it's always good. It's always thrilling, and I can't think of a Bond actor's performance that I actively dislike. Some I prefer more than others. Some I'm a little bit more apathetic towards, but I don't actively dislike any Bond actor's performance in any film. Even if the film is not my favorite film, I'll still enjoy the Bond actor's performance of Bond, typically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we're all in that boat, like, aren't we? Sort of, we all go and watch the film. We're all gonna, like, we're biased. We're gonna like it. We mightn't like it as much as others, but we're still gonna follow it. Like, we're not gonna say, what's that again? So
I know. Regulars will come over and go, that film wasn't great. I didn't like it. I'll go, okay, fine, and I'll watch it again. I just don't care. It's just, I saw some.
Sorry,
I was just going to quickly say, like, for the opportunity of through the group, like, I've been able to go with yourselves to the likes of Navan, where Pierce Brosnan was born. Like, these opportunities would never have happened if I wasn't involved in the group. And that's from us chatting, getting, knowing other people. Like John Gagan lives in Navan, got in touch. We ended up doing the tour. We ended up watching GoldenEye in Navan. Like, these opportunities, like, we wouldn't have known about these things when we were all in the group, for want of a better word. So, like, the experiences I've had have been unbelievable, and hopefully there's loads more to come.
And that would be a good opportunity to give James Bond Club Ireland's John Gagan a big shout out now. Navan's own John Gagan, the man who arranged that tour, alerted us to the fact that they were doing a showing in their local cinema, and really just made the whole thing very, very enjoyable. Taking us around the hot spots of Navan, where Pierce grew up. We should definitely get that under Pierce's nose. Pierce Brosnan, if you're watching, check out our Trip to Navan podcast. You'll love it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
as you found out, he's a school friend of yours, wasn't he, Pierce?
He was. Yeah. I was the slow kid.
He was there a few years after. He was there a few years after you, Paul, was he? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Sean. License revoked, Sean. License revoked. Look at this. I found this the other day. This is from the James Bond International Fan Club.
Yeah.
This was before License Revoked had been retitled License to Kill. This preview of the upcoming film is coming out. It's just brilliant. These magazines were lovely, and then they had recently discovered the the Casino Royale 54 thing. It had been lost for a long time, and they'd recently rediscovered it. And look, this is the way that people would write in. They would write in letters. This is to you people who grew up after the internet. This is how people communicated in the olden times. You'd write your letters in and express your opinion about Bond. And one of them here, oh my God. Yeah, there's just these are endlessly nostalgic flipping through these magazines. So Kev, when you said you were getting interested around the time of the Living Daylights, that was the first time as well for me that I understood there was more than just a film. You could get interested. There was a series of films. You could get interested in the books around it, whether it was books about the films or, the actual novels, which I wasn't allowed to read because I was too young, and there was all sorts of filth and dirt and violence in it. I wouldn't read that. But, it was very exciting.
You want someone to read a book, that's what you tell them.
Yeah, exactly. You can't read that because there's all kinds of sex and dirt in it. Well, I'll definitely leave that alone then, yeah. Especially if they were selling them in the local bookshop for like £2 or something at the time. I mean, they were as cheap as chips. Like, even you just cobbled together a bit of pocket money and you could buy, one or two a week. Brilliant. Yeah.
What was your first film that you saw, Paul? Because I was going to ask you that question there a minute ago to see.
Octopussy. I was on holiday with my parents, 1983, summer of 1983. We were in Donegal. Oh, yeah, very nice. And I think my father had gotten a pretty severe sunburn. So they were like, okay, we're going to go somewhere cool for the evening. So apparently a cinema was going to be cool, and there was a Bond film out. And I remember just going to it thinking, oh, whatever. But I remember coming out and just being so excited by the whole thing. And I dived onto the bonnet of the car and, pretended I was hanging off the back of the plane. And my parents just laughing at me, thinking, oh, that's pretty hilarious.
Say, battered to get you off the car.
No, not like that. No, I was on the back of that airplane. I was like, yeah, that's so cool.
That's brilliant.
And even at the time, I think I remember wanting one of those cool navy jackets that he wore, because he looked cool in it as well, And I was wondering if I could slide down the banisters at home, and I could, but no, I knew. Even then, I figured the logistics of that were not going to work without me causing some severe damage either to the house or myself. Neither of which was going to end up good for me. But yeah, after that, it just got getting more into it. But like, that was the problem back then. You were the only Bond fan in the village, really. That your school friends might have kind of enjoyed watching it on TV a bit, but then they forgot about it the next day. I was like, no, this is just I got to see it again.
Like, it was never the top of the playground or anything. Like, you were never talking about James Bond in the playground, were you?
It was for a while, because there was a series. They ran the series of films every Friday night. They showed a Bond film up until I think they were 2 behind the cinema release or whatever, because of the way the licensing was and video release as it was at the time. So obviously I think they were doing it to try and promote whatever the upcoming film was. But I mean, I was just I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, a Bond film every week. This is incredible. And when I think we watched, the person was Dr. Doe, and my father sat down and he said to me, yeah, this is the real James Bond here. This is the real guy. And I remember looking at him going, nope, he is not my guy. Nuh-uh.
Back to my dear aunt, and Connery is the man. No one else. The same thing. You will follow that rule, Kevin.
Yeah.
On that, Connery, I can remember being a youngster watching. I'd watched GoldenEye, and then Majesty's came on, and then it was back to another Connery. And I can remember saying to my Dad, why does James Bond look different in that one we watched last week? And I young enough to watch it and understand what James Bond was, but not old enough to understand it was a different actor.
Yeah.
And it was
plastic
like
surgery, son. He's a secret agent.
Yeah. It was like a big bombshell. You mean there's more than one actor?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And did you have any other fandoms as well? Like, was that your main thing, or were you like a Star Wars fan as well, or Superman, or the other superhero stuff?
I was more Superman rather than the other. Oh, excuse me, the beer fairy's just coming in.
Yes,
There's a beer fairy? Hello. Hi.
Hello.
I need to get a beer fairy.
Back in 10 minutes. Take another one back in 10 minutes.
But no, I remember. You remember, you used to be able to buy the cards.
Just a quick one. Was that the young woman who had the trip in the Aston Martin, or was she?
No, that was the youngster
one. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're training them young to bring you beer. I like it. Yeah, very good.
Yes. But no, I can remember having you could buy the little packs of cards that had got information about Superman on one side, and on the other side it was part of a picture that made a big put together picture of like the real Superman,
Yeah, the real Superman. Yeah, that was the thing. I don't recall a whole lot in the way of merchandise for Bond in the late 80s, early 90s. I know that you could get books on this subject, which I picked up a few. Including when you talk about merch, I remember being a youngster again and getting bought the white helicopter from Moonraker, and then the black helicopter from Spy. The Lotus, I got one of them as well. So there was certainly merch about, but then again, early to
early to mid 80s, merchandise wasn't the big thing it is nowadays, was it? So,
But it had been in the 60s, though, right? They were toys in the 60s, the corgis and stuff like that. People seem to know about it. Now, I don't know whether the craze for Bond stuff had just died down a little bit in the 80s. Maybe it had, or maybe it's just we weren't alert to it and weren't looking in the right places.
or maybe we had parents who shielded us from to save them some money.
Yeah.
I'd say it had calmed down a bit, and we probably weren't. I mean, you just reminded me. I think I was about 3 or 4. I had the Spy Who Loved Me Lotus Esprit submarine car, and as a kid, I probably didn't quite understand why does this look different to all the other cars that I'm driving around on the phone. I don't know what this is, but I had it. So
what are these little red things that are shooting out the back of this?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I actually,
but on that, I'm just like, there's a lot of other avenues in the films. Like, I'm big into the soundtracks. Love the soundtracks. Yes. You end up collecting them. It's sort of, there's not a day goes by you're not listening to a Bond theme or something, or the novels or the collectibles. There's that many different avenues. As there's Paul's coming with the LPs, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy who goes, I have that on vinyl, you know, but I
have that on vinyl.
It's just such a nice experience to have a big thing.
It is, and like, it's a whole different avenue that you can go listen. Like, I listen to the soundtracks like probably every day, you know, like you get into them, you can get talking to other people about them. It opens up a different conversation as opposed to like the films is the be all end all, but there's that many other avenues. Like as I was saying, the novels, soundtracks, collectibles, clothes. Like there's that many different areas that you can talk. Like you could go down and talk to people in Dublin, not even mention a film for half an hour. You know, we are talking about another element of James Bond, so it gives you a lot of different areas that you look at. You know.
I think I know we've just started doing some podcasts and stuff, but I'd love to do one on collectibles as well, you know, because I know a lot of people out there have different things that they've collected over the years, and just the chance to talk about them because they are infused with nostalgia as well. Like I too have that little Lotus Esprit. In fact, it was here until one of my young fellas robbed it earlier on, but he's like, he's talking to me. He's like, what? Why? How can it dive underwater? I was like, well, you need to go watch the film again, you know. But it's kind of actually fun, you know, coercing your kids into being Bond fans as well.
Oh, brilliant, yeah. Yep.
I have a confession. Not only that, I love the cars. I think, now there's an expensive collectible, but I love the cars, and I have spent the odd night with maybe a drink in my hand, looking online to see how much could I get an Aston Martin for second hand.
I've done that
off a trailer, or how much is that BMW Z3? What's that? What, $4,000, $3,000? Sure, I could have that'd be a
what's more affordable, a Lotus or an Aston? Which could I keep on the road easier?
I could get a Lotus. Could I get a Kit Lotus? I might. Aston DB7. That's I mean, you know, the imagination is still there, and it's brilliant. Imagine having that parked outside. You'd probably never leave the driveway. In fairness, but don't think I could imagine driving in my Aston Martin Vanquish.
Imagine if we'd had the foresight and the wherewithal like 20 years ago, these things would have been much less expensive. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them were like just, you know, old cars. But now they're like, oh wait, these things are so valuable now, you know. Whereas before, like some of them were just hidden away in old garages, just rusting away, and now they're just so desirable. I think if I were gonna go for one, I would pick the V8 from the Living Daylights. I know the others are great, but there's just something about that is just so
I
cool.
love that car as well. No, I'm with you on that one. I love that car.
I had the opportunity.
I would have to say, I still would say the Lotus, even though I'm probably too tall. I'm probably too tall to drive one comfortably. I'd probably be like that.
I'll tell you, Andy. Right, I had the privilege of being able to sit in the Lotus, like basically the same car. There was a bunch when we went to the Majesty Secret Service 50th anniversary in Switzerland. There was a car exhibition they brought, like there was a DB5. Was it a DB5? I think there was. And there was the Lotus. There was the Red Cougar from Majesty's. There you go. Look at that. But I sat into I have a picture of it somewhere. I sat into the the Lotus, you know, and the guy there, he had like a little rubber fish so you could get your photograph taken with the fish out the window.
Oh.
And it had the tartan seats and everything, but I mean, you feel like your ass is very close to the ground. And you know, tall guys like you and me, you're like, you're getting out of it. Like, I think even Roger Moore said, getting out of that thing makes an elegant exit very difficult, because it's so, you know, if you're a tall guy in a small car, it's like getting out of a, you know, little lawnmower kind of a thing.
To be fair, you never see a whole scene of them getting out, do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Probably not.
But yeah.
Or getting
in
either.
Yeah. Oh, don't.
It was quite low. I mean,
Sure.
Sean, we saw that last year as well in London. We were
Lotus very lucky
very-
to see
we
that.
were
Yeah,
very
we
lucky.
we happened to be making our way to Burlington Arcade, and next thing, the Lotus sort of store was on the corner, and going,
So cool.
"Here's the White Lotus! Jesus, get us in here!" And then your mom was looking at us. We're trying to get pictures and stand beside it, and with all the bags, and he was saying, "Put your bags over there." It's okay. We're not going to touch it, mate. Like, you know, sort of. Oh, it's brilliant.
Was he getting worried you were going to touch the car?
He just he's okay there. You want to put your bags over here? And I go, here, we'll throw them in the boot. We'll be all right. You know,
Throw it in the boot.
yeah.
Wouldn't give us a
It's very
lift, would
good,
you?
great. But it's surprising how low that car is. You know, obviously in the film you see it, but see when you're standing beside it, it is so low. You go, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's class. But
Yeah, it's good.
I would have been Aston Martin DB12. That's the one I would be getting at a casino. Oh, I love that car. That'll be the one for me.
A DB12 of casino. Yeah. That is nice.
Yeah, class.
So Santa Claus, that's on our wish list. Couple of Astons and a Lotus.
Yeah,
please.
if you can swing it, you know.
Yeah, as I say, I think mine's the most affordable.
It probably is. All round to Andy's for a drive in his Lotus next Christmas. Andy, if you drove down,
that's it.
if you drove Sean down from Lisbon to Dublin in one of those things, I mean, we'd be, you know, you are not worthy.
Oh, it's we wouldn't get out of it. We wouldn't get out of it.
So what's the future then for this week? Well, obviously we're going to try and keep this club going, right? Because it's got momentum behind it. We've got people interested, people liking it. There's a bit of I think we've probably found a niche, even if we can't fully articulate what that might be. But it's good crack, right? It's what do you think will be
You've just hit the nail on the head. It's good crack.
It's good crack, yeah. And you can't really articulate crack, can't put it in the bottle, can you?
No.
So,
I think it's all about definitely it's getting to the sense of community together, but it's also positivity. Like I think we're all and we have like a group. We have the WhatsApp group. Like even there at the weekend, there was more jibs and jibes about who's the best Bond or films and all, but it's all in good taste. It's all a bit of crack, you know. Like you come on your phone, there could be 15, 16 messages of people with their own views and probably rankings of films. You know, it's you could see an evening disappear and just having a bit of sort of online chat with different people. But I think we're all about positivity, and look, everyone's welcome. Trying to keep the ethos of what John set the club up for, but like we're hopefully moving. We're definitely moving in the right direction, and long may it last. But we're going to keep building. And look, we have our events, we have our screenings. Like here, this time last year, we had told me he was doing a podcast, and I know bother. Yeah, sure. We'll see how it goes. Like this is live.
You'll understand me with my lovely Newry accent. Turns out the whole world is listening, Sean.
Let me slow down. I would slow down and speak about
the whole Bond world is listening to your Newry accent.
But you know, it's we want to keep this pushing forward, and like there's going to be a lot of stuff on the horizon, and here, let's keep it going. You know, like we've done a bit of a structure there, Paul, and like yourself as now president, get a bit of a structure with Kevin and myself been vice presidents, and Andy been treasurer, and probably everything else underneath Andy. Probably.
How's your heavy workload going there, Andy? Managing our budget of 30 to 40 euros at a time.
Well,
I think he just drank it there tonight. Actually,
I'm trying to figure out how you embezzle without showing that you've embezzled.
Yeah.
You need to talk to
It's
out there.
It's also hard to embezzle coins.
Yeah. We do jest, but just to point out that you know, people have been good, and that some people have been buying T-shirts and stuff like that. which is really nice because that money, like the cost for those t-shirts, there's very little by way of margin on that, and whatever we do, we just chuck it at these either screenings, or in some cases we've given it to the Solus last year, which was the cancer support charity that John had avail of, and we do have a fundraiser for the Irish Cancer Society this year as well. So
I was just going to mention that, Steve. Yeah,
that's really where we're trying to shovel funds in, where just, if it goes towards, keeping the cost of a screening down or a few drinks afterwards or a piece of charity, that's all we really looking to do. We haven't organized one of those big events yet, like some of the other clubs, but who knows what the future might hold. In the meantime, I think you're right about the interactions. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. I tend not to read that many of the rankings because I've read so many over the years. I'm just like, I can't. It's just another one. I'm like, but I love that people send them in. I love that they send them in, and I love that they go battering each other over it. And I go, no, swap 3 for 4 and move that fellow up. And it's like, well, I would have done this. And it's just great, And there's no result. Like, it's never going to be right. It's just great fun doing it. And
well, the thing is, if there's 40 people are submitting all of those lists, there's going to be 40 people that have got their own one that's right.
Yeah. And it's just fun telling someone else what you like,
telling somebody else that they're wrong and you're right. It's
And here's the weird thing as well. What's funny, when it comes back to you and someone challenges you, rather than getting outraged, I tend to, mostly when people challenge me with it and they have a good reason for challenging me, I go, I must go back and look at that now. If you look at it through the eyes of someone who's really enthusiastic about it, it just gives you a refreshed enjoyment of something that you may have kind of put aside as like, that's not my favorite or whatever. And I love that. That's a real buzz for me.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. It sort of, it reinvigorates your sort of the fandom, and I want of a better word, that, I will go and check that film out, or I don't like that soundtrack or certain things. And I'm like, oh no, I will go and listen to that again, or like that novel. God, I haven't read that in a while. Yes, I will go back and read that there. Or even people making suggestions of books you haven't read, or things, or like podcasts or documentaries you haven't seen. You're always learning or picking stuff up.
I'll give you one of my favorite examples of it. When I was first sort of edging in towards the Bond community from the outside, I didn't really know that many people. I took a punt and bought ticket to go to the Majesty's thing in Switzerland. And in the weeks beforehand, I'd been kind of chatting with Joe Darlington. I didn't really know him, and he'd been questioning Phoebe Waller-Bridge and what she might bring to the Bond film, and we were kind of having a back and forth. I was like, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And he was like, I'm not sure. And then I met him in the bar, and I was like, you're the guy I've been chatting to. And he's like, and he just bought me beer, and we were like, and then 10 minutes later, we were just, I could not finish a beer without a fresh one turning up in front of me. And we were, singing and just shouting and being really, really silly. And, we've been firm friends ever since. And I think that's just one of the nice sort of things you get out of it. Unexpected. There's a sort of a childlike playfulness that we as adults tend to forget about a little bit. And when you get that again, it's like, it's really good fun, and it should be embraced, that silliness is something to really kind of, I don't know. I don't want to get too philosophical on it because I'm not philosophical.
No, but here it can get very dangerous as well, because you end up talking to somebody and you miss your flight to London over chatting about James Bond. So
what kind of idiot would do that? I mean, surely that would never happen, Sean.
I don't know. Fuck, don't. I got caught out.
So we've been on for nearly an hour now. I think this would be a perfect opportunity to round out the discussion with that little anecdote. Sean, take us through the detail of what happened there.
Well, we were heading over to Cue the Music last October, and I was at the airport at 5:30 in the morning for a 7:00 flight. I was meeting a good friend of the podcast, Tom Ryan. Went to the bar and literally having one drink, and we ended up having a chat about.
Sorry, just let me just rewind. Again, two guys with reputations for being impeccably organized, and you were having a drink at what time in the morning?
It's probably about 5:45.
Continue. Sounds totally reasonable so far.
Airport times are completely different to
That's
real
true.
time.
That's true. They're different.
I was going on my holidays.
This is definitely a recipe for success. So please keep going.
Yeah. Well, it was all good because like I was literally sitting at the bar and the screen was like right in front of us. We weren't going to miss anything. But then we started talking about obviously Pierce Brosnan and that scene in the World of Sound of the pre-title sequence where Bond jumps out of the window and the camera angles and everything. And we were engrossed. And next thing, shit, that's red. What do we do? Let's run. We ran to the gate and the gate was closed. The flight was away and we missed our flight. So we ended up having to go back to the bar and drinking beer at about 11 o'clock before we got another flight to London. So so we caught up on all our James Bonds.
And did you nearly miss that second flight as well?
Oh no! We got that. We near missed a flight coming home, but that's another story. But sure, anyway.
I thought you were going to say we were talking about that scene. You know where Brosnan comes out of the airport. You know, having gotten his flight on time and having arrived in Russia on time.
No,
that would have been. Or when Roger leaves the flight in New York, looking really cool. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, where's our flight? Yeah, we did meet you two dishevelled looking heads afterwards. You made your flight though. Fair play. You bought a second flight and came home.
Well, Tom ran. I was for around with our hostesses and all that there, but I calmed myself down and we got there and what a brilliant weekend. But so it can be dangerous at times if you talk to people about James Bond for too long. To be honest with you, so
I want to congratulate the two of you though, Sean, for missing the flight, not panicking, getting another flight booked, and going back to the bar to continue the conversation that got you into the trouble in the first place.
Yeah,
so there's nothing else
to calm your nerves. Yeah,
that's dedication.
Oh no, it's dedication. It had to be done. But like that was there again. Like the likes of that, like that's an event that I was able to get to go and see Cue the Music over in London. Massive weekend of Bond fans getting together. Lucky enough, we're going to go this year. It's probably going to be more Bond fans there. Like, things like that if you weren't part of this group, you wouldn't really know anything about it. You might know about it, but will I go? I don't want to be there on my own. You don't know anybody. But the groups are that welcoming. You could near go on your own in times, and you'll fall in with somebody, like you're saying about the Majesties event, Paul. Like you'll fall in with somebody, and before you know it, you're in with a group of people having the crack.
Yeah. I think there's a lot from our group going to Cue the Music this year, isn't there?
Yeah. We're taking over.
I think all of us four are going, aren't we?
We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to be there.
Yeah, be good.
Yeah, so I think that's fair to say. Do say hi. Yeah, come over, say hello. It's always lovely when people do that. And again, to give a shout out to the really 007 guys and Bond in Yorkshire and all the guys who came over to visit us. We had a great time with them, and we were so chuffed that they made the effort to come over.
James Bond Radio, they came over as well.
James Bond Radio, thank you for reminding me. Great. I mean, such a great crew. So we will be making our trip in, is it October for Cue the Music? Yeah. I'd like to be able to plan a little bit more, but I've got a bit of a big move coming up this summer, so I can't do too much travel planning at the moment. But we definitely need to get more in the UK and more of the Bond locations around Europe as well. So we're going to plan that.
Yeah.
What else have we got coming up in the near future, real quick, guys? Sean, do you want to tell us what we got coming up?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing coming up next, we have our View to a Kill screening coming up now on the 24th of May, the UCD in Dublin at 3:00. So get in touch if you're looking to come to that. We'll get you sorted out. It'll be a great day, and we'll probably go for a few beers and a bit of food afterwards of the crack.
Can you just say that time and date once more, Sean, so everybody listening knows?
I put giant subtitles on
the 24th of May. But it'll be great. Like I'm looking forward to seeing a View to a Kill on the big screen again. Same. I think we're all looking forward to it. The chat has been, people are looking forward to this. So yeah, that's the next big thing for the group. Probably we will look to get a bit of a meet-up at some stage in the coming months, but look, we'll let everybody know when that's happening. But definitely get along to Dublin UCD on the 24th of May. More than welcome.
And in terms of the podcast, we have, by the time this one comes out, we'll probably have already released the movie one with Rory Emery, which is actually a really good episode. I mean, that was kind of more fun than we even expected it to be. So that's a really good one. And we've got one planned for May to commemorate the first anniversary of the loss of our dear friend and founder, John Lennon. So that's going to be a nice one to listen out for as well.
Yeah.
Kev and Andy, anything else you guys are looking forward to?
Just continuing the way we're going along.
Keep on keeping on.
Carrying on, enjoying ourselves. Carrying on, having our lovely little disagreements and debates, and just keeping it going.
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine. We're like Saunders and Dalton's Bond, trying to get Koskov out of the boot of the car. That's what we're like when discussing a film.
I'm very excited, I think, as well for the future. That sounds very vague and very grand, but we've seen this with folks who've been interacting and people in Ireland here. There's so many different voices and perspectives and experts and people who know things far more than I will ever claim to know, who we obviously will be talking to and having chats about it and bringing that Irish perspective and things of that out into the future as well. I think I'm very excited about hearing these untold stories and old untold views that I think we haven't heard before. I think that's very exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, that's nice. I think that's a great thing. I mean, you by no means have to be, an absolute expert in the world of James Bond to be a part of this club. But it is always nice when you have someone with a unique perspective or piece of information to uncover as well. And I think that's really tremendous, because it's all very well going saying, oh, I like this film, and someone else going, I don't like this film. It's like, okay, you could do that for hours and hours and hours. So you are welcome to come on and throw in your opinions, but anytime we have something of interest, something that's unique, we want to be able to celebrate that and throw it out there as well. So we look forward to doing more of that, and meeting more friends as well, more people from across the community, including people from our own fan club, if you like, in Ireland. I think we're going to get some more voices from those people on here as well. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we might leave it there then. We've had people our attention for long enough, for a full hour. So thank you very much. It's been. I hope this kind of introduces you to the band. On lead guitar, we have Sean O'Hare.
Thank you.
On maracas, Andy Watson. I knew you'd lean into that.
I'm really worried now.
Maracas Watson, that's what we'll call him.
On triangle.
So
triangle solo. I look forward to hearing that. All right. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. And have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
guys, all the best.